From the shadow of the ninth tallest pyramid in the world, we're in Memphis, Tennessee for tonight's SFLm action between the Salt Lake City Rustlers and the Memphis River Runners. I'm Jack Brown, and alongside me here tonight, we got Josh Zirkle. Josh, Salt Lake coming in with a well-bolstered offense from last week's game, and both of these two teams, just from the outside looking in, they're going to need to win in order to keep their SFLm playoff hopes alive.
Absolutely, Jack. With the season winding down, Salt Lake City and Memphis realize that they've got to make their move, and they could take a serious competitor for that number 4 playoff spot out of the picture tonight. If they're able to just go ahead and get a win here, Memphis obviously with the advantage at home, but Salt Lake City, no slouches here. I think this is going to be a great game. It's been a great day of football all around, Jack, and I think the good times will roll tonight.
Oh, I can totally agree with you, especially today has been a great day for football, Josh. But we focus our attention here in Tennessee. Salt Lake City debuting 3 new members on offense. Callie Blow at wide receiver, Brian Murphy at tight end, and guard Randy Fatt III, number 69. He is looking to have a nice debut. But with that in mind, the River Runners are set to start with the ball. And we are underway from the Volunteer State, taking it about the 1-yard line, up past the 10, 15, up past the 20 to the 22-yard line. And Cyrus Jive and company are going to set up shop there.
Yeah, Cyrus Jive's done a nice job this season, keeping his team in it. They are 2-3 right now, technically a losing record, but a lot of chicken left on this bone, Jack. Plenty of football to be played. And Cyrus Jive has a chance to take a big step toward the playoffs tonight.
That he can. This is going to start in the shotgun with split backs. Nice snap, goes where it needs to be, throws over the middle, and that is a nice catch. No, actually, he dropped it. That pass is intended for Caesar Ackerman. The remainder of the Memphis River Runners offense is halfback GP Wells. Alongside him at wide receiver, we have wide receiver Terrence Weary and wide receiver Israel Adams.
Yeah, Memphis doesn't want to do anything too fancy to get going here on offense. Get everybody in a rhythm. Cyrus Jive looking to complete some of the short routes over the middle to get his offense going.
Yeah, especially since Memphis's pass offense so far this year has been pretty middle of the road, 4th best in the league. Going to hand it off to GP Wells the outside. He's going to lose a yard.
And Salt Lake City is one of those defenses. They've got a lot of talent that likes to fly to the ball. Bogey Bard, outside linebacker, Frankie Kuster. Guys returning from the team a year ago that obviously did very well. And they are looking to carry the load here and provide some leadership.
3rd and 11. Cyrus Drive going deep over the middle. That's going to be a catch. Oh my goodness, he shed 2 tacklers. He's still going down the field to the 31. What a catch. And what a way to stay on his feet. That's Caesar Ackerman. And the tight end showing just how much fun these big men can be when they get a hold of the ball.
This is what makes SFLm so much fun. You see all these big plays. Look at that. 5 white jerseys around Caesar Ackerman as he catches that ball and then still manages to get loose, running for big yards and plus territory. Just like that, the River Runners already in field goal range.
That they are. So it is 1st and 10 once more as Memphis has effectively flipped the field and they still have the football. 1st and 10, they're going to hand off to GP Wells right up the middle, and GP Wells loses a yard. Let me introduce you real quick to the Salt Lake defense. At the defensive end, we have Sam Yeager. At linebacker, we have Golden Dino and Bogey Barr. Cornerbacks are Dedrick Law and Edwin Crow. Free safeties are Rick Evans and Sabo Kanan, who made his debut last week. And Frankie Custer is the strong safety. 2nd and 11 is going to be a short little dump off to GP Wells. He's going to lose another 2 yards.
That's Bogey Barr again, his 2nd straight tackle. He's a guy who can play inside, really good at pass coverage as well. A versatile, complete linebacker. I think he's going to get his name called at the season 18 rookie draft coming up soon.
Yep, there will be a lot of these players out on the field that you'll be seeing very soon on the SFL pro scene. Cyrus Jive throws it over to the corner. That's going to be caught inbound at the sideline. Gets it to the 9-yard line, and Memphis already 1st and goal after the reception to Terrence Weary.
Yeah, Weary making a great catch on the sideline. We've seen other guys do this. Doug Spelling immediately comes to mind. Guys that will obviously see their stock rise as far as the 24 SFL Major League teams are concerned. If you're able to set up shop and make big catches at the sideline, Terrence Weary showing he can do just that.
First and goal, going to be a short flat route to GP Wells, picks up a block. Wells gets it down to the 5. Nice simple play and nice blocking that he was able to pick up to get that yardage.
And this is what really separates the wheat from the chaff, Jack, in terms of SFLM offenses. And we see this in the majors also. Teams that get into the red zone and then struggle to punch it in. I think those problems get exasperated even more here at the minor league side. The bread and butter plays don't necessarily work down here. You have to be creative to get the ball in the end zone.
Second and goal, handoff. From the middle of that is easy as touchdown. Memphis River Runners, they get on the board of their first drive of the game.
And that's just outstanding interior blocking for GP Wells. He could have driven a beer truck through that hole. Tremendous effort, just getting right after. We are going to get a replay here. And Wells, you can see, does not even break stride. Just great quickness and agility, hitting full speed on that second or third step, getting right to the end zone. And Memphis on the board first.
Yeah, probably was thinking in those moments, hey, where'd everybody go?
I don't think he was too upset to not see anybody there. The easy touchdowns are count just as much as the hard ones.
That they do. Now Hank Forsyth out to attempt the extra point. Kick is away, and it is good. Memphis takes a 7-0 lead on top of Salt Lake.
Is Hank Forsyth just patting his leg right there? Like Elihu Smales with Billy Barule there at the end of Caddyshack, just patting it. Oh, leggy. You think he has a special name for his leg? Do kickers do that?
I cannot state that for myself. I'll have to ask my kicker, Red Wretched, if they have a special name for their legs. But hey, you know, it is their most valuable asset as Forsyth once again kicks it, taken at the 5. And Salt Lake's going to take it up to the 26-yard line.
Now we'll get our first look at Kenny Slider, the Salt Lake City quarterback, and he's got some complimentary tools and some new tools, as you said, Jack. 3 Week 6 signings making their debut here for the Rustlers.
Yeah, last week the Rustlers had some struggles on offense, and you could probably attribute a good part of it to going with such an undermanned offense against one of the best defenses in the SFLm. Short drop for Slider, throws to the outside. It's going to be caught by the halfback, Logan Lee, and Lee gains 2 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, and in terms of what you're asking your running back to do here in the minors as well as the majors, you want to see guys that are able to go east and west as well as north and south. And Logan Lee does a nice job of that, not necessarily on display there, as Memphis did a nice job of closing, but it was a play for positive yardage.
The other person on the Salt Lake City offense is the wide receiver, Lottie Lou. The only passing target that he had last week, and that time it's going to go to Memphis. There's a flag on the play, though. We're going to have to see what it is. But as it stands, that was an interception by Chad Clemens. Oh, there's a clipping call against... Oh, it's against Memphis. So that is fortunate for Salt Lake City, as they're going to keep the ball for another play.
Yeah, and you got to watch yourself as you're getting to the quarterback. And let's take a look at it here. And that is about as blatant as it gets. Sometimes guys are more subtle, but when you double team the quarterback, then his legs go flying in the air. I would say 95 times out of 95, that's going to get called.
Yeah. You know, there have been some more questionable roughing the passer calls made in recent memory, both in here and in the big league. But that is pretty obvious. 1st and 10, throws it over to Logan Lee. Speaking of the Memphis River Runners defense, let's get you introduced to them before we move any further along. Defensive ends, Angela Meerkat, with the linebackers being Saeed Gore and Matt Anderson. Cornerbacks are Laquan Smith and Roy Vance, and the safeties, free safeties TJ Frosty, and the strong safety is Jacob Morrison. 2nd and 6 for Salt Lake. Very Nice snap for Slider. Slider, though, lofts one over, and that was nearly another pick. Could have had 2 picks on 1 drive.
Yeah, we'll get a look at the replay here, Anderson. And if you've got ain't even remotely athletic ability in terms of being able to catch the football, you're going to see some potential interceptions come your way. And look at the outstanding jumping ability there by Matt Anderson. Really disappointed he couldn't bring that one in.
3rd down and 6. For Salt Lake, they need to answer back in order to keep this game from getting too far out of hand early on. Handoff right up the middle to Logan Lee, and Lee only gets 3 yards. He needed 3 more, and so Memphis gets the stop on Salt Lake's opening drive.
And these stops that happen early in the games usually can turn out to be pretty big. If you're able to jump to an early lead, and we've seen this in a lot of games already this season, whether it's 14-0 or 14-3 even, that could sometimes be enough to carry the momentum away from the other team and just pace your offense and defense toward a really successful outing.
And for Memphis, they're going to set up shop at their own 18. Last drive went pretty well for them. Expect to see the same thing once more.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that first drive is more often than not the toughest drive for any team in the game, offense or defense. You get your players in a rhythm. You get your quarterback in a rhythm. Now we're going to see Cyrus Jive take care of business one more time.
Handoff to GP Wells. GP Wells is going to get a nice 2 yards. Not much more beyond that, though. Nice shot from Salt Lake and from Bogey Barr to wrap him up in the open field.
Yeah, I think Bogey Barr's got to be a player that a lot of teams look at. There's a lot of need out there for linebacker. I think linebacker and tight end. When you see the teams in the chat, they're looking for players, they're looking for extra personnel. And especially with teams that are going to have, 23 roster spots now, carry potentially 13 players on defense, Bogey Barr is going to be a very hot commodity.
That he is. This is going to be a gain of 6, 3rd down and 4. Yeah, one of the big new additions to the Simulation Football League is the expansion of rosters to 23 players, alongside the addition of these minor leaguers being able to get 2-way contracts so that they can play both in the major leagues during their season, and they can come back down for a little stint in the minors during the minor league season. And they're going to get, as GP Wells gets the 1st down, 5:05 remaining in the 1st.
Yeah, and a guy like GP Wells might be an interesting case, too, because guys like Randy Squarebush, Douglas Brown, they're going to go off the boards early. But now you look at teams that know they're going to have to carry 2 running backs, whether it becomes a fatigue issue or even an injury issue like we saw with Reggie Streeter in Louisiana during this season. A lot of these mid-tier, with all due respect, with those running backs in this league, I think we'll see their stock rise now because of this 2-way contract situation.
Meanwhile, if we're going to talk about 2 ways, I think we had a 2-way player out there trying to go for the reception for Memphis, as he seemed to bat it away from himself.
Well, he shouldn't have done that. He should have just batted it somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, batting it into his hands, that I think would have been preferable.
You know what else works? Catching it.
Well, I'm trying to make it into a way where it sounds like he's catching it, but I'm using different verbiage. Anyway, 2nd and 10, deep drop from Jive, throws it over the middle. That's going to be caught, and he's going to run the opposite direction, and they're going to lose a yard, despite originally having gained 7 or 8.
And that is really unfortunate. And that's Israel Adams. And it's great that he has an opportunity here in SFLm to learn the correct direction to run after catching the football. I'm just kidding, Israel. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Again, a feature, not a bug of SFLm. It's these wonderfully freakish plays that we see more often than not.
Yeah, and remember, that one of the most famous moments in NFL history, that Vikings player going the other way for a safety. Going to go up in the air. That's going to be tipped incomplete. 4th and 11. Intended for Terrence Weary, and Memphis is going to have to punt it away.
Yeah, Memphis. That Israel Adams catch and reverse run probably wasn't the only thing that stopped them on this drive. It certainly didn't help. Now they've got a chance to flip the field, and conversely, Salt Lake City has a chance to get their first points of the game.
Snaps a bit low, but the kick is away. Salt Lake City going to field it at the 33. And then speaking of going the wrong way, they end up losing 4 yards. And they're going to get it at their own 29.
Yeah, they got some water on the field.
Something happened. Oh, there's a flag on Memphis, it seems. No, against Salt Lake. It's going to be a clipping call, and so I think that means that they're going to have to back them up even further.
You can see Kenny Slider rubbing his hands there, licking his chops. It doesn't matter, just a chance to get more stats. Make the box score a little more appealing, make your draft stock a little more appealing. Kenny Slider fears no side of the field. Short field, long field, medium field. He loves them all.
That he does. So they're going to have to start from their own 16 for the Rustlers. Slider hands it off to Logan Lee. Lee finds a hole and gets 4 yards. 2nd down and 6.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at running backs like Logan Lee and GP Wells in this category as well, who are the guys that can make chicken salad out of situations where you look like you're going to get stopped for no gain or even a loss of yardage, and you're still able to get upfield and fall for positive yardage? I think that's what separates really good running backs from some of the middle tier replacement level backs of this league.
Meanwhile, if we're going to talk about players giving themselves a little bit of extra film, a sack is certainly the way to improve your draft stock. That's Jackson Phillips, his first sack of the night and the first overall for either team.
Yeah, and those can be huge, absolutely, at this level. And Kenny Slider just going down in a heap. And you are sitting back there. You know you're not getting high-profile blocking, not restaurant-quality blocking. And then a defender comes in your face and dumps you into the dirt. It's not a lot of fun.
Yeah, Slider this time, though, goes deep. And he got his man. He's going down the sidelines to the 39-yard line. That's Lottie Lou on the reception, the 6'1", 198-pound wide receiver.
And great hops by Lottie Lou. And Slider, you can see putting a perfect ball out there. Lou's got a step on his defender, jumps up, and able to make a run for the end zone. Didn't quite have the wheels. Couldn't get it in 5th gear quite fast enough to elude the Memphis defenders. But what a great catch and a great time for Salt Lake City, now here in plus territory.
Another deep drop for Slider. Slider throws it deep over the middle, and it's tipped incomplete. That was a pretty good pass defense there by Morrison.
And Morrison's only been here a couple of weeks, Jack. Week 5 signing. I'm talking about all the fresh meat on the Salt Lake City roster. Jacob Morrison making a nice play after only being in the blue and red for a couple of weeks.
That indeed, 2nd and 10 for the Rustlers. Memphis making some light adjustments on the line. Gonna be a little play action. Rigmarole, and he's gonna go down for the 2nd sack of the drive. It's 3rd and 16 for the Rustlers.
That's Dwayne Gent stopping over. Looked like he was gonna trip Kenny Slider. I don't know if Slider tried to get him there or not. Yeah, the 2nd sack, the Salt Lake City protection has got to step up. Slider with great play action, but it was not enough to slow down the pass rush.
Yeah, that's him making up also. He had a penalty earlier tonight. That's going to be another deep drop from Slider. Slider moving around, and he goes down for back-to-back sacks. 4th down and 22. And the Salt Lake City O-line not doing that hot as Dwayne Gent gets his 2nd sack in a row.
Yeah, and Gent putting Salt Lake City on the opposite side of the 50. We're looking at maybe a long field goal or a 4-down type of situation. And now Frank Gussie's getting on the field. Salt Lake City's going to have to punt.
Yeah, he's going to have to punt this one away. A lot of the Salt Lake City team not getting a lot of time to get along with each other, as a lot of them, again, are just brand new signings. It's going to be taken at the 15 up to the 18-yard line. And so for Memphis, Iris Jive is back out on the field.
And Cyrus, conversely, from Kenny Slider, has enjoyed pretty good protection tonight. He's had a few throws gone wayward, but for the most part, done a fine job of running this offense. And the scoreboard reflects that.
Deep drop, and it's going to be another deep throw over the middle. It's going to be intercepted by Salt Lake. They're going the other way. And Cyrus Jive makes his first mistake of the night, and Salt Lake City forces him to pay for Dietrich Law, his first pick.
Yeah, I jinxed Cyrus Jive with apologies. But look at Dietrich Law going back here, making a great play. The throw's a little bit short. Law goes up and gets it. Gets a nice little return here on the INT as well. It's Salt Lake City, who ended their last drive on their own side of the field, will now start here on the Memphis 33, almost already in field goal range.
Deep drop, going to be a nice little throw over to Logan Lee. Lee gets 5 yards. And it's not going to be too much more on top of that.
A lot of space there. And the first zero from the line of scrimmage is about 5 yards out. And Logan Lee doing a nice job getting out there. Turning it upfield, setting his team up for second and medium.
Second down and 5. Going to be another throw over to Lee as Lee he tries to get a spin away from the defense. Not going to get it. Third down and 3. I think that was Laquan Smith on the tackle.
Looked like Matt Anderson might have been in there as well. And what kind of personnel will Salt Lake City use coming out here? Only one wide receiver on the field there on second down. It looks like they might spread things out a little bit here. Twins to the bottom of your screen.
Going to be another play action from Kenny Slider. Throws, and that's going to be incomplete. 4th and 3. But the upside for Salt Lake, they do have Jordan Bradshaw, the contracted kicker, and he's going to be out for his first attempt.
Yeah, and if you are a contract kicker, this is something that the big league teams will expect you to make. It looks like they're going to put Michael Milton, the backup quarterback, right in between the 42 and the 32 and 33 yard line. So we'll call it a 43-yarder for Bradshaw.
Yeah, it should be about a 42, 43. Kick is away from Bradshaw, and Salt Lake's on the board. Just as the first quarter expires here, folks.
And the important thing is you're getting points off of that turnover. The Dietrich Law interception really set up most of that. Salt Lake City got the ball down the field a little bit. Bradshaw is able to boot it through.
7-3 is the score currently at the end of the first quarter. Stick around, folks. This game could get interesting. You're watching the SFLm on YouTube. Ball's on the tee for Bradshaw. Salt Lake has made it a 4-point game after the interception by Dietrich Law. Kick's going to be taken at the goal line, up past the 20. Doing a little bit of rigmarole up to the 24.
A nice kick by Bradshaw, almost getting that ball into the end zone. And that could be some of the hidden yards that we sometimes talk about, where teams are having to make longer drives than you might expect. And sometimes that could be the difference between 7 points and 3 points, or 3 points and none at all.
First and 10 under center is Jive. Throws it over to Wells. Wells takes a step in the wrong direction. Ends up losing 3 yards.
An interesting play there, Jack. 4 tight ends in the set. And Jive winds up throwing it. And Wells is not able to get a lot of space. He's awfully close to the boundary, getting this. And we see a lot of big league wide receivers have trouble turning up the field on routes like that. GP Wells also struggling with that. And it's hard to put that 3-yard loss on him.
Yeah, it's hard to turn upfield, but it can be a valuable skill to learn. With it being 2nd and 13, 3 wide to the top of your screen. Only one in the backfield, Cyrus Jive under center. Jive short drop, throws it to the outside. It's going to be caught by GP Wells again. Recovers the yards he lost, but it's 3rd down instead of 2nd.
Yeah, so they're right back where they started here on 3rd down. And Salt Lake City doing a great job of swarming to the football. GP Wells not really had any big plays, any chunk yardage plays, Jack. They're going to have to find a way to get him in space.
Yeah, Jive going to throw it over the middle, and that's going to be caught. But not one, but two Salt Lake City Rustlers closed in on him. That was not going to go down the field at all. And Memphis is going to have to punt.
And look who it is, Bogey Barr. Patrolling the middle of the field right there, right in that hook zone. Defending that first down line to gain. And now here comes the punt team for Memphis.
Here I come, punter. I'm coming. I'm gonna block the punt.
Snap is way off center, but it's going to be getting away. No real pressure on the kick, as Salt Lake City is going to get up to the 34.
And Kenny Slider, we talked a little bit about his protection issues that he's had with his offensive line. We really need to find a way to get him going. And I don't know whether it's short routes or more play action. The play action does not seem to have worked so far. They're going to have to mix it up a little bit and find a way to get him going.
Slider goes over the middle. That's going to be tipped and complete. Seemed to be a pretty good throw, but Smith met him right where he needed to be, and it's going to be an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I credit that to good defense by Memphis. Those throws over the middle are tough to complete, especially when you have linebackers that are stout and staying at home in their hook zone coverage. Memphis doing a nice job there on that play.
Yeah, you can't necessarily get that mad. Gonna be a handoff up the middle to Logan Lee as Lee gets 3 yards. It's a 3rd down and 7. Looking at the rushing here as it just popped up, both backs struggling to get a lot of yards on the ground.
Yeah, and you will see that sometimes, and there are a lot of factors for it. Sometimes the defense is playing well. Sometimes your offensive line is not playing great. I think right now it's a little from column A, a little from column B. And you can make a case, maybe a slight 60-40 balance, depending on which team we're talking about.
Yeah, as Slider moves up in the pocket, he tried to scramble with it. It wasn't a bad attempt at all for a SFLm quarterback. 4th and 7, though, that's something that you kind of have to always remember in the back of your mind. A lot of these guys, pretty much everyone, is a purely pocket sort of passer. You don't really see that many scramblers in the SFL or SFLm.
You really don't. Some guys are able to do it well. Jordan Sipe for San Jose had a nice scramble for first down yardage in his game earlier tonight, but it is very rare, and you don't see it very often. And a lot of times when quarterbacks do have that skill set, Jack, they rely on it a little bit too much to the detriment of their arms and really to their offenses, really.
Yeah. Really, the only guy that I can think of, even in the majors, who's even semi-consistent with it is Julian Tyree.
Yep.
Of the Sioux Falls Sparrows. But, obviously, Sioux Falls, for the past several seasons, they've always been purely about the run, so it would make sense that their quarterback would also be into it. Either way, it's 1st and 10 for Memphis. They're going to go down the field. Jive tipped incomplete. And there's a flag on the play.
As we're talking about protection, great protection by Cyrus Jive. The O-line doing a nice job of picking up that pass rush. A little too good, and you can see why they're holding on Memphis.
Yeah, holding on GP Wells. Wells not typically used to blocking, so he's going to draw the foul, and Memphis is going to have to walk it back 10 yards.
And that is a skill that you're expected to develop on your way to the big leagues. Your running backs don't just handle the football. They don't just catch the football. Sometimes not just the fullback, but the fullback and the halfback will stay in and max protect for that quarterback in certain situations. You'll see it here, and you'll see it in the big leagues as well.
Give me a handoff to the outside for GP Wells. Ooh. Wells takes a few blocks. Oh, Wells, he sheds a tackler. He's still going down the sideline to the 50-40. Oh, he's making men miss left and right. That is going to be a touchdown, River Runners.
Unbelievable run by GP Wells. We're talking about his blocking. I don't care if he can block, if he can run like this. Look at the blocking that he's getting there, and then breaks the tackle there. That's number 32, Rick Evans. He just shrugs off like a suit coat when he's walking in the door on his way home from work, and he is gone. Nobody's going to catch him. Sabo Kanan can't catch him. That's a great touchdown from GP Wells.
And now it seems to be that a lot of those running woes that I was talking about from the two sides, they seem to be put to rest, at least for now, as GP Wells gets a huge run, making up for the hold. You know, if you really think about it, maybe it was intentional. He wanted a few extra yards.
You know, the hold that really evens out his net. So you lose the 10, but then you come back with a huge run from your own side of the field. Just tremendous. And to have that burst there to outrun the entire Salt Lake City secondary for your second touchdown of the day, very impressive by GP Wells.
And so for Memphis, they're up by 2 scores relatively early on. And for Salt Lake, they're going to need to find something on this drive. If hopefully a field goal or even a touchdown, as the kick returns up to 28.
Yeah, Salt Lake City starting to see this game slip away. Right now it's GP Wells 14, Salt Lake City 3. And Kenny Slider having issues with protection. His defense has actually played very well, aside from that one busted play there that we just saw. The Slider needs to make a difference here.
Hand off up the middle to Logan Lee, as Lee falls behind and gets 2 yards, they're going to say. Tackle made by number 26. That's Chad Clemens.
Yeah, and the Memphis front line doing a nice job, really making it difficult for Logan Lee to get going. Angela Meerkat, and also Saeed Gore and Matt Anderson in the linebacking core. Great job defending the run tonight.
Slider going over the middle, and Slider, that's going to fall into the ground. Incomplete. Penalty flag on the field. Wouldn't be surprised if it's DPI. There was a little bit of extracurriculars. And look at that. Call me a shaman.
That's a great call, Shaman. As we were complimenting the linebackers, Matt Anderson with some no touching in that hook zone there, and that's going to be a fresh set of downs for Salt Lake City. And sometimes that's what you need to get your offense going. You know, the penalty flags will subsidize your offense to some extent, but at the end of the day, you got to string a few big plays together.
First and 10 for Salt Lake. Slider going deep over the middle. He finds his man. Goes right into the soft zone of Memphis's defense. Finds Callie Blow, which, if I'm not mistaken, is his first reception in his SFLm career.
I think so. Congratulations to Callie Blow. A nice route to get it right across there, splitting the cover 2, and is able to turn upfield. And then gets a welcome to the SFLm from the Memphis secondary. But does a nice job of hanging on to the ball. A tremendous play. And Callie Blow get a blow here on the sideline.
There'll be a handoff to the outside for Logan Lee, as Lee loses a single yard. Well, for Salt Lake, they definitely can't get it all the time, but hey, the last play certainly makes up for it.
Great TFL there by Matt Anderson. Great penetration. And that's part of what has made the difference in this game so far tonight.
Another handoff to the outside for Logan Lee. Lee gains 2 yards, and, well, it's 3rd and 9. Anderson with the tackle.
Matt Anderson again coming up with the big tackle and did a great job of shedding that block and just bouncing outside, still maintaining contain. An important job for an outside linebacker. He almost single-handedly forces Salt Lake City into a 3rd and long.
3rd and 9. Deep drop for Slider. Slider moving up the pocket, throws it deep, and that's going to be tipped. Oh, it's a tip drill picked off by Memphis. And they're still going down the other way, picking up some blocks. Oh, runs to the heart of the offensive line. How many people got their hands on the ball before TJ Frosty decided to just take it the other way?
I think all of them. I mean, that was just like a game of volleyball. It broke out in the second day. 1, 2, was it maybe 3 there? And then Frosty finally gets it. And a nice return here by Frosty. Gillo Convoy gets a great block there from number 23, Chris Foreman, before he's finally forced out of bounds. And Kenny Slider, who was sitting at the Memphis 30-yard line, had a chance to put points on the board. A field goal would have made this a one-score game. Throws it away, gets deflected. Memphis coming up with a huge turnover.
Yeah, and for Frosty, he was the first man on the tip. So I guess it's only right that he got the actual interception, as the catch is for a gain of 6 to the outside. Catch made by Israel Adams.
Yeah, Memphis is not really blowing the barn doors off offensively, aside from that one long GP Wells run. But they're doing a nice job of just playing within themselves, playing with rhythm. And Cyrus Jive doing a nice job of just taking what the Salt Lake City defense is giving him.
Second 6. Gonna be a play action for Jive, but Jive goes down for a sack. He's not gonna be jiving back to the sidelines. After a play like that, he's gonna lose a good chunk of yards, as a matter of fact.
That's Angela Meerkat, another midseason signing. She didn't join a team until week 2. Did a great job just blowing by the defense. You see her lined up there, bottom of your screen on the line.
Jive on 3rd and 13, throws it over the middle, and gets the reception for the first down. Makes up for it, gets it to the midfield stripe. That's Israel Adams with another great medium length reception.
This is a nice throw by Jive with the defender in his face. Meerkat running on the twist. Nearly got penetration, but Jive is able to get that ball away and puts it right in the pickle barrel, right in between a gaggle of Salt Lake City defenders. And Memphis moves the chains. Here's this 4 tight end set again, Jack. We'll see if they decide to throw out of here again like they did last time.
Yeah, it's a very interesting formation. That's exactly what they're going to do. Set up a bit of a screen, and GP Wells murders one man. Can he get past 2? Not quite. But he does pick up the first down, so you can consider that a win.
And that was Rick Evans, who made the first attempt on GP Wells and came up with air. We'll see it right here. That's 36, Evan Crow. There's Rick Evans, who just almost totally whiffs on the block there. And GP Wells, woo, that is a tremendous spin move by GP Wells. Rick Evans out a tough game here tonight so far. Remember, it's a 60 or 44-minute game technically, but it is a 2-half game.
Yeah.
And a lot of chance for the Salt Lake City defense to shore up here.
Jive throws him once again over to GP Wells. He's going to lose a yard. Threw it to him just a little bit too much in stride, and GP Wells, well, he was already set to go out of bounds, and so he did what he could do.
Yeah, that's a tough play. When you're you're throwing to the left sideline, when you're on the left hash, you're really almost tying a hand behind the back of your running back, expecting to make that catch and then make such a steep cut upfield. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it really is difficult to make that play.
Yeah, it really is, but it isn't difficult when GP Wells gets the ball that you can assure yourself he's going to get some good yards. Gain of 6, making it a 3rd and manageable.
Memphis doing a nice job with what they've gotten from this TJ Frosty interception. They definitely want to get some points off this turnover. Got a chance to get 3 here, possibly from the field position, but they're going to look to get a few more than that.
3rd and 5. Slinging it towards the end zone. Wide open touchdown. Memphis River Runners. They're up by 3 scores, and it's not even halftime.
Israel Adams definitely running the right way on that play, getting all the way past the defense. Cyrus Jive putting a great throw right on the money. You see the great route right to the pylon. It almost does a pirouette looking for the ball, falls right in the breadbasket, and he's able to saunter into the end zone, and Memphis starting to run away with this.
That was one of the simpler touchdowns that you'll see in the SFLm this season, but for Israel Adams, running a route to perfection, and Cyrus Jive following up with putting it right where it needs to be. It's a touchdown 100% of the time. Extra point is up and through. The River Runners are up 21-3.
Yeah, and it's SFLm, not exactly known for their parity. And Salt Lake City could be on the cusp of a long night here, depending on what they're able to do on this next offensive drive.
Yeah, a lot of times here in the SFLm, there are cases where when it rains, it pours.
Yes.
And Memphis, they're so far making it look like it's going to start pouring very soon. It's going to be all like the little extra wake that they get off those paddles, you know?
And it's something to think about, too. I mean, these are not mismatched teams, Jack. We got a team that's 2-2 and Memphis 2-3, you know, and neither one on one end of the spectrum or the other in terms of offensive ability or defensive ability. You know, with Salt Lake City, that's sort of a misnomer since you have so many new players and maybe a bit misrepresented by that 2-2 record, but this is still a good football team.
And it's going to be a nice little handoff for a gain of 1 from Logan Lee. 2:46 remaining in the first half.
And you see the disparity in the stats there. And really, the biggest difference of that is just a long run from GP Wells earlier in the game. And Logan Lee certainly as capable of ripping off a big run like that. They just need to see it pretty soon if you're Salt Lake City.
Lee takes the handoff up the middle. He's going to gain 8. Not much more on top of that. It's going to be a 3rd down and 2.
We're talking about
2:15.
We're talking about a big run, Jack, and I thought Logan Lee was going to deliver right there. I think Jacob Morrison able to grab him by the shoulder pad as he was running through the second level. It was just enough to slow him up to get the rest of the defenders there.
So that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning, folks. The Memphis River Runners are on top of the Salt Lake City Rustlers 21-3. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're watching the SFLm on YouTube. Preparations for season 18 in the SFL are underway, and signing periods begin Monday, December 6th. You can follow the most up-to-date transactions on the wire at simulationfl.net/transactions as it gets it up to the 40-yard line. And stay tuned for the league's free agency special, which airs Monday, December 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the SFL's YouTube channel with front office and free agent guests and analysis. Should be a very fun show there. SFL offseason, it's as wild as crazy as the regular season.
It is really fun when you have everybody on one-year deals, and it's like somebody finishes a chess match and then dumps all the pieces back on the floor, and you've got to reset the board with whatever is laid in your hand.
Yeah, as the throw to the outside gains 5 yards, going to be 2nd and 5 for the Rustlers. Lottie Lou with another reception.
And we see Kenny Slider still searching for some rhythm there. And I think running those out routes to Lottie Lou and Callie Blow still only has his 1 catch. It's a good way to do that. And that's a difficult thing when you're a quarterback and you work with a lot of new players, a new tight end, a new offensive lineman, and a new wide receiver.
Short throw to try and get the first down. Doesn't quite get there. 3rd down and 2 is the consolation prize.
And that's Torrey Perry, the backup tight end. He's been with the team since the beginning of the season. When you're a backup, sometimes there's a little bit more of an expectation. You've been there the whole time. You finally have a chance to step up and maybe get a little bit more volume. And Torrey Perry will get some volume, but needs to do a little bit more there than what he did on that play.
Yeah, when you're expecting to step up, you need to step up big time.
There you go.
And I think he just did it right there. Torrey Perry with the reception over the middle. Deep drop for Kenny Slider. Finds Lottie Lou, and Lou's going to lose 3 yards on the play. 2nd and 13 as they're going to huddle back to the line of scrimmage. Less than a minute to go here in the first half. Salt Lake with all 3 timeouts in hand. Going to be another throw to Logan Lee as Lee gains the 3 yards back that he had originally lost.
And really, there was nothing but green grass in the vicinity of Logan Lee. And Slider needed to get him a better ball, get that ball out in front of him. And Lee had to leap for it. The throw was a little bit behind him. And by the time he made that adjustment, came down with the ball, the Memphis defense was on the scene. And that's why you're in a 3rd and long.
Need to get the ball to the 29-yard line. Slider moves up the pocket. He's not going to get to the 29-yard line. He's going to go backwards to the 43.
And you want to know why Salt Lake City's having trouble getting into a rhythm? That is why. You have large men flying at your face when you're trying to get the ball downfield. It makes your occupation significantly more difficult.
Chase Amherst, the linebacker, on the sack. And really, whenever you get those linebackers flying at you, that can get nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. It changes the game, and it changes what your offensive line is expected to do, and especially when you have a newcomer who's trying to get acclimated to the scene, it can feel like an almost impossibility.
This punt return will be the final play of the half, and Salt Lake's just going to down it at the 4. Halftime is upon us, folks, and Memphis is in the lead, 21 to just 3 from Salt Lake. Salt Lake having only really put together 2 drives that had any meat on the bone, you know?
Yeah, it's been really tough, and I think really the story, though, is how great this Memphis defense is playing. Angela Meerkat, Matt Anderson especially, doing a great job of just making the game come to them and making Salt Lake City play on their terms. Kenny Slider's been under a lot of pressure. Logan Lee's had trouble getting out of first gear. You see only 29 rushing yards there for Salt Lake City. And Cyrus Jive and this Memphis offense, they've come up some big plays, Jack. I think they've done a good job. And you're seeing one there by Caesar Ackerman. GP Wells also had a long touchdown there. And so far, in terms of the chunk plays, I think Memphis has had the edge, but I think Salt Lake City has a chance to get back into this. As you see Kenny Slider ripping off a big throw there to Lottie Lou, and that was so close to being a touchdown. And Salt Lake City, their only score of the game so far has been that field goal off the Dedrick Law interception. Jordan Bradshaw completing a field goal from 42 yards. Their only points of the game so far, and I think if Salt Lake City wants to get back into this, it's got to start with this offense. Kenny Slider's got to get better protection. Randy Fatt, the third, and that O-line need to step up. And if they're not able to do it, I think this is going to be a long inning for them and a very short bus ride, if you will, for the Memphis River Runners.
Yeah, so far for Memphis, it's 21 points as the offense has been the only one really able to get those big chunk plays, and they've been forcing the mistakes for the Salt Lake City Rustlers, as we see that interception where about 4 or 5 different River Runners got their hands on the ball before Frosty finally just took it and ran.
And sometimes you see that, especially at this level, where a team just has some success early, and it seems to carry them through the entire night. The big plays happen. The tip drill happens, that TJ Frosty interception. It felt like everybody in that Memphis secondary got a finger on that ball before Frosty finally brought it down and had a nice return on it. But that's life in the minors. You know, when it rains, it pours, as you said. But when things are going, things can be going really, really great.
Salt Lake to receive the second half kickoff. Will be taken at the 5-yard line, up past the 20. They'll set up shop at the 25-yard line. 1st and 10 for Kenny Slider.
And here we go, right at the 25. Salt Lake City starting the second half with the football. And they're not out of this yet by any stretch. I know the offense has had some issues, but this is still an 18-point game. It's a 3-score game. A lot of chicken on the bone in terms of time and opportunity for Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I've seen crazier comebacks happen as Logan Lee gets the handoff start. 3 yards, and, well, you look at the stats right there, that is a pretty average carry for him.
And it really tells a story. And Jacob Morrison, you know, understanding the need for defensive backs, strong safeties especially, to make their presence felt in the run game. We've seen a lot of defensive backs fly off the board in the rookie drafts, Jack, that are able to do that and able to step up and play the run.
Slider as Memphis is playing deep. He threw it short and over the middle. Gets it across the yellow stripe. Brian Murphy with the first down.
Murphy running a nice route. No defender in sight. Gets the first down. Takes a big hit there. TJ Frosty delivering a little business. Welcome to the SFLm, Brian Murphy.
Salt Lake coming down the offset eye, one man wide to the bottom of your screen. They're going to throw to that one person, and Lottie Lou drops it. Seemed to already be focused with what was going on downfield. Never thought about actually catching the football.
And this is what happens when you're trailing and you're trying to make a big play. Sometimes you press, you try and do too much at once. And like you said, you're running with the football before you've actually caught it. And the next thing you know, it's bouncing off your hands and onto the turf.
Second and 10. Throws over the middle. That's going to be another incompletion. Aimed just a little bit too high for his receiver. And his receiver got hit as he tried to catch it. That's fullback Fred Willows. And yeah, that's going to be a drop 9 times out of 10.
Well, especially when you're in tight coverage, as Matt Anderson was providing. Once again, Matt Anderson in the middle of a really nice game. He's making stops, and he's also playing some great pass coverage as well.
Slider looking around on 3rd and 10. Throws to the sidelines. That's caught in bounds. And finally, 3rd time's the charm for Salt Lake. And they get the first down to Grant Hickman.
Yeah, Grant Hickman, the Swiss Army knife for the Salt Lake City football team, not only on offense, but special teams as well. Coming up with a much-needed catch there. A real nice job by Hickman keeping the foot in bounds. You only need one in this league. Hickman's out. Hickman's still out there, Jack. I don't know why we haven't seen Callie blow, but I don't see him out on the field right now.
No, as they throw it, and that was nearly intercepted. That could have been dangerous and going the other way, possibly for a pick 6. And look who it is again for Memphis's defense, Matt Anderson.
Yeah, and sometimes when you play defense, the defensive players will tell you this, that there are games where just everything is coming your way, and you just have so many opportunities to make plays, and sometimes the opposite happens. But for Matt Anderson, he's just done a nice job of the opportunities that have been in front of him.
Going to be a handoff up the middle to Logan Lee as he's going to gain 5 yards, making it a 3rd and manageable.
Matt Anderson there again. And the other thing I want to say about Matt Anderson is sometimes, a lot of times in the big leagues and SFLm as well, when you're an outside linebacker, you find yourself playing a lot of inside. When you're in a set like this, you're in a 4-2 or a 4-3, and sometimes you're stacked over the line, and sometimes you're playing on the edge, and you're expected to perform in either one of those situations. Matt Anderson doing a nice job of that so far.
3rd down play goes over the middle, and it's going to be a simple incompletion. 4th and 5, as Salt Lake, unfortunately, is going to have to punt this one away once more.
Yeah, and that has been sort of their night as well. They're able to get 1 or 2 big plays at a drive, only to stall out here just over the 50 or sometimes on their 50. And Gussie will be on his own end of the field as he punts this away.
End over end punt. Gonna take a Rustler's bounce to the 10. Oh, goes right up into the air.
Ooh.
Oh, he stepped into the end zone.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that we didn't see Fellows on the 1 yard line with his back to the goalpost. I think if he had done that, instead of waiting for the ball to come down, might have had a better opportunity, but instead had to chase the ball toward the end zone, and his momentum took him over the goal line, and that's a touchback for Memphis.
Yeah, if you watched the Iron Bowl earlier today, Josh, there was a situation like that for Auburn, actually. They had several plays, and the guy just turned his back to the end zone, caught it when he needed to, and Auburn pinned Alabama several times down to the 2 or the 1. Now, granted, that generally end up out in Auburn's favor at the end of the night. Well, that's a story for another day. The first play was a no-yard rush from GP Wells.
Yeah, the Salt Lake City defense I think, you know, you look at the players that they had last year, they did a terrific job of corralling. Right here on this play, we're seeing a couple of players just gang tackle GP Wells. And that was something I think that Salt Lake City as a team, obviously with different personnel, did a nice job of. And I think if they're going to continue to make a push for the postseason, that's got to be sort of their MO. They've got to look back to that and find a way to make those gang tackles and just stifle runners at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, whenever you see where the ball's going, just send the entire house after him. As Cyrus Jive throws to the sideline. Oh, that's a nice catch. Threw it on a dime as he gets the first down. That one being to number 82, Kent Harris, the wide receiver.
Yeah, Memphis going a little deep into the roster here to find Ken Harris. And that's really a great job by Jive. 6 defensive backs on the field for Salt Lake City. And Jive able to see the entire field and see his man, Harris, underneath, get the completion.
Jive moving around the pocket, has a lot of time to throw. Gets it off just in time to avoid the sack at 2nd and 10.
And Salt Lake City hasn't brought a lot of pressure, but when they have, Angela Meerkat has been there. And Jive can't hold the ball that long because Meerkat will find a way to get to you and to bring pressure, and that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, you just gotta throw it away. Second and 10 for Memphis. Looking around is going to be Cyrus Jive. And it was a nice throw and a nice completion. This time to Terrence Weary. Sets up a 3rd and 5.
Yeah, great catch by number 13. Reminds me of another number 13 that we saw in SFLm last season. That was Doug Spelling. The only wide receiver to go off the board, Jack, in the first round of the season 17 rookie draft. And Terrence Weary doing a nice job of emulating Doug Spelling there on that play.
Looking to become the only wide receiver to go off the board next first round. Draft slated for December 30th and January 1st. Throw to the outside is going to be incomplete, and Memphis is going to have to settle for the punt.
The second day of the draft is on January 1st. Is that what you said?
That is what it is.
I wonder how many good decisions are going to be made on January 1st by some of our esteemed SFL owners.
Well, I'll have you know that the Charleston Predators will be sure to keep everyone under tight lock and key on New Year's Eve. Make sure there's no rabble-rousing among my fellow front office compatriots.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we know how you like to clamp down on the rabble-rousing, Jack.
Oh, absolutely. I am the most anti-rabble-rousing owner in the entire league.
A staunch anti-rabblist.
Yes, do not look at what I post in my own in my own locker room. For example, 1st and 10 for Salt Lake City. Short drop from Slider, going to throw to the sidelines, and it's going to be a gain of 5 as he just got an elbow to the face by Roy Vance.
You know, I'm sure that hurt a little bit. That's why they wear those bars on their faces, though.
Slider under center is an offset eye. Throws it deep and he finds his man. No, it's going to be tipped and complete.
Frosty.
Yeah, TJ Frosty getting a hand on it, knocks it away. 3rd and 5.
Frosty the showman. Had us an INT already tonight, but playing some great defense back there too. He gets the run and the pass as well. Look at the strafe. Look at the majesty of that strafe from TJ Frosty. Very well done, sir.
That's the sort of strafe that all big league teams like to see. As Slider goes deep, it's going to go up, incomplete. 4th and 5. Not the worst play call, as it was an arm punt that they were hoping could maybe get a big play out of.
Yeah, that didn't quite happen there. Frosty again, and 2 other Memphis defenders on the coverage there. Doing a nice job, and Salt Lake City just having a tough time of it, you know, and it's not anything that they did or didn't do necessarily. Big win against Boise a couple weeks ago. Close game against Madison in their last outing. And tonight it's not so close. And sometimes that's how it is at this level.
Yeah, some days you get your big games and other games, let's just say that you don't quite show out quite as well. Salt Lake currently has not scored a touchdown since, if I remember correctly, it was week 4.
I believe you have that right, brother.
1st and 10 for Memphis, goes deep down the middle. Oh, it's going to be picked off. Another one of those picks where there was about 5 hands on the ball. But Cyrus Jive went a little bit too risky. And for Salt Lake, they're taking it the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's Frankie Kuster that ends up with it. I think that's Sabo Kanan, excuse me. Frankie Kuster had the first tip on the ball. And Kanan able to corral it and give Salt Lake City their second interception of the evening. And now Slider will start this drive at midfield, just barely on his own side of the field. Chance for the Rustlers to get back in this.
That's his first interception of his career. Welcome to the SFLm, my boy. As Slider throws a short one over the middle, gains 2 yards, and not much more on top of it.
And positive yardage, sometimes that's the way you've got to look at it. Just have that positive mindset. And we've not really seen Salt Lake City adjust. Still going to these 2 wide receiver sets. We'll Slider in the shotgun here. We're not really seeing Salt Lake City push the panic button here yet, at least on the offensive side.
No, that is the smart call to make. You're only down by 17, and there's still a quarter and a half left of action. Hickman gets the reception for the first down. You're still in it, even if the odds are not looking too good.
Yeah, once again, we're seeing Hickman, a guy who's usually on the Rustlers bench, instead of Callie Blow, who should be on the field. Looks like Blow is in the huddle here, and now running into the slot position. You can see him at the top of your screen. And now Salt Lake City finally in a 3 wide receiver set. Maybe looking to do a little damage, maybe take a shot at the end zone.
I mean, another handoff to Logan Lee up the middle, gains 4 yards to the 34 for Memphis. Right now, Salt Lake just barely sitting on the outskirts of their field goal range.
And 4 yards is a positive run. I mean, that's obviously better than Lee has been doing so far tonight. But when you spread the defense out and you get in those 3 wide out sets, sometimes the running game can come alive.
Throw is going to be tipped incomplete, 3rd and 6.
And Slider looking for Murphy there. And it's difficult. Sometimes you look in the huddle and you see Callie Blow, who's been there just a couple days. Brian Murphy, who's been there just a couple days. And you want to get the ball to somebody besides Logan Lee or Lottie Liu. And sometimes that could be easier said than done. And here we're back in the 3 wide out set. Let's see what Salt Lake City can do here on 3rd and 6.
Slider under center, takes a very deep drop, loads the cannon and fires. It's gonna be tipped. Oh, it's still alive! Had that been caught, that would have been one of the greatest plays I've seen in either the major or minor leagues.
And that ball was tipped well into the air. That thing might have come down with a little bit of snow on it. And it looked like Lottie Liu still had a chance to haul that one in, which would have been an amazing catch. Unfortunately, not able to do it. And Gussie's going to boot another punt here from around midfield.
Surprised they didn't send out Bradshaw, as he's made kicks from around this range before.
It would only be a 51-yarder. I mean, that would be, I think, in his range. Has already hit from 42 tonight. And hit it well.
That he did.
Memphis right now looking really good. You see GP Wells, the numbers there. Just on the short end of the century mark. You had to have to expect with a quarter and a half left that he's going to get this. and a lot more as they try and close this game out here, or at least take a little time away from Salt Lake City.
They're going to start the effort by handoff to him. Goes to the outside, gains 4 yards.
And that will put him at 103 on the evening. A very nice effort for GP Wells. Only at 5'9". You know, some of these players, you get them as big as you can get them, not GP Wells. But this is a shorter back, a shiftier back. But Dynamite does come in small packages sometimes.
They're going to hand it off to him again, and he keeps saying that. He gets elusive again, gains 3 yards. It's going to be 3rd and 2.
And did a great job of moving the pile. Bogey Barr and half the Salt Lake City defense in there and just continue to churn the legs. You saw that pile just inching its way downfield. Tremendous effort for a guy with his team having a 3-score lead.
3rd and 2. Deep drop, throws to the corner. That's going to be, oh! Gets stepped behind the first down marker. And it's going to be 4th and 1 for Memphis.
Yeah, I think obviously they'll punt it here, and that's just unfortunate. Again, when you're making the throws, those throws so close to the sideline, the timing is significant and the footwork is significant, and sometimes it's just not there.
Punt is away, and Salt Lake looking to take over in the field position battle. A good return here puts them up to the 46.
There's Grant Hickman again. Doing a nice job getting his team in a spot where they might be able to put some points on the board. Kenny Slider. And they've not spent a lot of time on Memphis' end of the field. You know, they did have the 1 interception by TJ Frosty. Other than that, and the field goal for Bradshaw, that was from 42 yards, and that came off the Dedrick Law interception. Memphis has really done a nice job of keeping Salt Lake City on their side of the 50.
Free play for the Rustlers. Going to throw it down to Logan Lee. Loses a few yards, but I think they're just going to move it forward by 5.
Yeah, I think so. And Lee taking a little bit of punishment on a play that's not going to end up counting. How about Mike St. Green being named London Assistant GM? Congratulations to Mike. Went over to that team in the offseason before season 17. A huge part of them making the playoffs. Obviously, they had Johnny Pickler there as well. And Chad Rowland doing a tremendous job overhauling that team. Is obviously going to step away from the meteor day-to-day operations. And it's a new day in London right now.
That it is. London having one of the most robust and deep front offices here in the Simulation Football League. And that's just one of the many great things that you can do here. You can rise your way not only on the football field, but also in the boardroom. I can say for myself, I started out as just a standard player for the team, became a member of the front office, director of communications. Then a few seasons later, I now own the Charleston Predators. And I'm just one of many examples of what you can do as Logan Lee makes his way up the field to the 39.
Slow to get up, and then finally does a karate move to get back on his feet almost. Well, look at the replay here. Just great blocking. You see a nice block there by number 33, and that's Fred Willows, who has just did a nice job. And sometimes that's what it takes. You need that block, sometimes 4 or 5 yards out to break a big play. And Logan Lee got it that time.
Oftentimes, a halfback is nothing without his fullback. As the throw over the middle gains them 9 yards. Not exactly able to tell who got that just yet. Oh, that is the tight end, Brian Murphy.
Yeah, Murphy and Slider are starting to build a little bit of rapport over the course of this game. And Slider's looked for him a couple times. On that particular area of the field, sometimes 5-6 yards out between the hash marks and the numbers, it could be difficult to get a ball into a receiver there.
Give me a handoff to the outside. They're going to say he got the first down. Logan Lee and the Salt Lake City Rustlers methodically driving it down the field. Now with just a minute left in the third.
And this is what you want to see if you're Salt Lake City. Just tremendous signs of life. signs of moving the ball, positive yardage, and now 3 wide receivers set here once again. Maybe we'll see a shot to the end zone from Kenny Slider.
Throws it down for a nice 5-yard start, and it gains 3 more on top of it. That makes for an 8-yard gain on 1st and 10. Going to make it 2nd and 2.
And these 2nd and shorts, 3rd and shorts, really make your football team look a lot better than they might be in these downs, because you can open up the playbook. You can call a run here. You can call a pass. See, his Memphis defense right now has no idea what Kenny Slider's going to do here.
Going to be a loss of 1 after the handoff to Logan Lee. Salt Lake City, if they get the first down, it'll also be their first time in the red zone.
Saeed Gore on the stop there.
And that's going to bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Get your 4s up, get your 86s up in chat, folks. We still got ourselves a ball game, especially if Salt Lake City can score. You're watching the SFLm on YouTube.
And this is fun, Jack. This is what we want to see. We want to see Kenny Slider punch us in and make this a game.
Handoff up the middle. Are they going to get the first down? No, they're going to have to settle for 3 once again.
And once again, Matt Anderson in there doing damage. And he had some help in there that time from Dwayne Gent, the defensive tackle, showing some surprising springiness. But Anderson has been on the scene for a lot of those plays happening around the line of scrimmage. And here comes Jordan Bradshaw once again.
Fourth and 2, Bradshaw out to attempt the field goal. Kick is away, and it is good from 38 yards out. The Rustlers still keep it close-ish as they add 3 to the board.
Well, now I think it's a 15-point game, which you could cover in 2 scores. And that's something to think about as well as we get farther in here. I would have loved to have seen them go for it in that situation. I feel like you had some inertia on that drive, excuse me. But it remains a 2-score game. You got a little over 10 minutes left. And now it's up to your defense to try and get a stop here on Cyrus Jive and GP Wells.
Yeah, and so far throughout the second half, Memphis has kind of slowed down a little bit. You know, we haven't seen quite as much of their offensive prowess we saw from the first half. But
Absolutely.
you know, when it comes to drive, you never know what can turn up.
And Memphis has not scored here in the 3rd or 4th quarter.
And if they're going to score on this drive, they're going to need to go for 75 yards. 1st and 10 from their own 25. Handoff to the outside to GP Wells. Wells picks up a few blocks to get 3 yards.
And Rick Evans coming up with a big tackle there to come up with a stifling, if you will, of GP Wells on that drive. And yeah, he had 3 yards, but Rick Evans making a tackle in the open field. And this could be one of the things that really does you in late in a game. And sometimes all the offense needs to do is drain a little bit of clock, especially in a 2-score game where the opposing team needs to score and then get the ball back and score again. Sometimes a long drive could be all the other team needs to put a game away.
Meanwhile, GP Wells gets another handoff, and he goes for the first down to the 39 of Memphis. A great outside run. Follow the blockers.
Yeah, outstanding.
And Salt Lake didn't have an answer.
Yeah, you saw the double team there on Frankie Kuster by the fullback and the backup tight end. Sean Brule, the backup tight end there, and Isaac Holtz coming up with tremendous blocking, enough to spring GP Wells for the first down.
Going to be a throw over the middle. It's going to be incomplete. Seemed to be a little bit too much pressure on Cyrus Jive.
I think Jive's played a nice game, considering that there have been moments of pressure where Salt Lake City has been able to get a couple bodies in there. Number 90, Julius Arnold's been in there a couple times. Sam Yeager's been bringing a little bit of pressure as well. But by and large, he has delivered for this Memphis offense.
Another handoff to the outside, going to gain 2 yards. Not much going as Salt Lake's defense has finally cracked the code, it seems.
Yeah, you got him in a 3rd and 9. And this is where you need to butter your bread. You really need to get off the field after this play. And Cyrus Jive looks like he's going to have to put it on his shoulders here. And we'll see what Salt Lake City does on the defensive side.
Jive has a lot of time to throw in the pocket. Going to move around in the pocket. Going to go down. Loses only a yard, but it's 4th and 10. Memphis going to have to punt it away.
Yeah, and it's Arnold again coming up on the sack, and that is huge, especially when you're only rushing with 3 guys. You know, you can almost credit the defensive secondary for the sack there as well when you have 8 in coverage. Jive frantically looking to find somebody open, but nobody was there. Salt Lake City gets the sack, and they're going to get the ball back.
Punt is away for Memphis, and it's going to be taken up to the 25-yard line for Salt Lake City as we are at 6 minutes, pretty much exactly, remaining in the ball game. And for Salt Lake, they're going to need, this is probably their most important drive, if not of this game, possibly of the season.
Well, absolutely, especially the playoff ramifications. Whoever wins this game is going to own the tiebreaker on them as we progress through the season.
Handoff up the middle to Logan Lee. Lee gains 2 yards, they're going to put it at.
And Lee just really has had more of his share of Memphis defenders in his face. Saeed Gore and Matt Anderson especially. And Matt Anderson has played an outstanding game. And this is going to be the tape Matt Anderson sends to all the big league teams.
Handoff to the outside for Logan Lee. Just could not find that seam to turn up field. And it's going to be 3rd and very long as the clock continues to tick for Salt Lake.
And my favorite thing to see, defensive backs playing the run. Roy Vance and Jacob Morrison coming up for their secondary positions to bring down Logan Lee.
Going to go over the middle. That's going to be incomplete. Tipped away. Slider just not finding the rhythm that he needs. It's going to be 4th and 9. Salt Lake's going to have to punt it once again.
Yeah, Fred Willows would not have been my target of choice there. And it's just an interesting situation. And I know Willows has been with the team since the beginning, and maybe that has something to do with Slider's familiarity with him. But ultimately, you need 9 yards. You've got to find a better answer than throwing it to your fullback over the middle. That just didn't get it done, as you saw.
No, it did not. Punts away. It's going to be fielded at the 35, and they're going to bring it up to the 39.
And now if you're Memphis, you got a chance to close this game out. You only need 2 or 3 first downs to really hamstring Salt Lake City's ability to come back. And Memphis defense, don't get me wrong, has done a great job. They've made it hard enough as it is. But now you can make it mathematically impossible for them to mount any sort of comeback at all, just logistically.
1st and 10, going to be a handoff to the outside. GP Wells gets a yard. Tackle made by Howard.
And Salt Lake City has really just done a nice job on defense, I would say 90% of the time. And the other 5% of the time has just been the difference in this game, where Memphis has been able to capitalize on big plays and really field position as well.
Deep throw, and it's going to be a catch over the middle. Crossing the midfield stripe as Cyrus Jive reaches downfield, finds Harrington, and Memphis finds something deep in that offense.
Just a great throw. You got 2 high safeties, and Harrington just going over the middle, getting right over the Mike linebacker. It's sort of a Tampa 2 look there. I'm not sure what the call was exactly. But Harrington just doing a nice job of finding the seam, coming up with a big catch.
Gonna go up the middle of GP Wells. Oh, he has all the time around him, all the space. He only gets a first down, but that was well primed to be a touchdown.
And once again, the blocking has been outstanding. Look at all that room that GP Wells has. Probably should have busted that one to the right of Isaac Holtz, the fullback, but instead tried to go left. Thought he could find his seam in there. But as it stands, a great run. And that's going to get Memphis at field goal range. And the clock continues to run, Jack.
Clock's still moving, and that's the worst news to hear if you're a Salt Lake City Rustlers fan. High snap for Cyrus Jive. They're going to throw it to the outside. Caught in bounds. This is going to go out of bounds.
Terrence Weir, once again, doing business on the sideline, Jack. He just did a nice job there. Didn't quite get over the chains, but did manage to get the 1 foot in on his way out of bounds.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot down the 100 yards, but across the 53.5, he's done all that and more. 2nd and 1. GP Wells takes it. He's going to lose a yard. They're going to say through forward progress. He got back to the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 1 for the River Runners.
Frankie Kuster and Dedrick Law coming up on that play. Once again, defensive backs playing the run. You could see the difference it makes when you have 11 players playing the run as opposed to 7 or even just 8 or 9.
Could be another handoff up the middle. No, they're going to say knock out the first down. And for Salt Lake City, a major defensive stand. Dino on the tackle.
Yeah, tremendous play. Salt Lake City clogging those holes, trying to keep GP Wells out of the red zone. And for the most part, doing that. And here comes Hank Forsyth. He's going to pat that leg one more time, Jack, and try a field goal to make this officially a 3-score game again.
There's no greater romance that's been discovered here tonight in the Simulation Football League's minor leagues than Forsyth and his leg. Kick is away, and it is good. Finds more reasons to love his leg.
And he might be patting the leg there. We're not seeing it. But you can tell he's very satisfied with himself. And why not? Spot is good. The hold is good. And just a gorgeous end-over-end ball. And that is probably going to do it in terms of giving Salt Lake City a realistic, non-fungible chance, if you will, of getting back into this football game.
May be non-fungible until I take a screenshot of the comeback.
That's fantastic.
Kick is away from Forsyth. It's going to be taken at the 5-yard line. Up past the 20 to the outside to the 26-yard line. At Salt Lake City, they're going to need this. They're going to need this if they want to win.
Well, you're down 18. If you got any shot of winning, you got to score. You got to come up with 1 score right now and then find a way to get the ball back twice. Kenny Slider in a situation here where he could throw caution to the wind, and you see the 3 wide receivers set out here, and he may decide to do just that.
Throws it to Logan Lee. Lee gets a yard, but they're going to be hurrying back to the line. They want to preserve those timeouts and the 2-minute warning as much as they possibly can. 2nd and 9. Slider throws it. It's going to be tipped incomplete. 3rd and 9.
And Memphis not fooled. They're in the nickel set. They got 5 defensive backs on the field. They're happy with the personnel they have. Whether Slider decides to throw to the flat with to Logan Lee or try and work the middle of the field like we've seen him do with Brian Murphy, they are prepared for any of those. What we've not seen Slider do a lot of is throw toward the sidelines down the field.
Throws deep over the middle, going to be tipped incomplete. 4th and 9. And I don't see any reason why Salt Lake wouldn't try and stay out for this one.
No, I don't either. Looking for Cali blow there. And sometimes you could find a way to get your team into some high leverage repetitions, in that situation. We see the replay again. Cali blow just not with any realistic chance to catch that football with all those defenders around. And that has been the story so far. Memphis playing some suffocating defense. Not only have they kept Salt Lake City out of the end zone, they've, by and large, kept them off their half of the field.
4th and 9. Salt Lake City's going to need this first down if they want to even have a shot. Very deep drop, moving around the pocket. Slider goes up. It's tipped and complete.
Wow. And that is an outstanding play from the secondary. Chad Clemens going up, and away. Look at that. I mean, just barely gets a fingernail on it, but enough to completely deflect it and create the turnover on downs. And now Memphis can start cracking the champagne. Might be too strong a beverage right now. Maybe the Miller High Life. And get the celebration started.
Possibly. Gonna throw it to the outside. Oh, it's picked off! Oh, Salt Lake's still in it! They're going on the sideline to the 30, 20. That is gonna be a touchdown! Rustlers are still in it!
Say it with me, Jack. Cyrus Jive fought the law, and the law won. Dedrick Law, who already had an interception tonight, comes up with a huge pick here late in the game. And you can see him just playing one-on-one, playing in that coverage, and comes up with a leaping grab. And look at the green grass in front of Dedrick Law. Nobody's going to catch him. Off to greener pastures. And Salt Lake City all of a sudden back in this game.
That is the spark that the Rustlers needed for their first touchdown since their game against the Boise Mud Dogs. So it's been a while since they got into the end zone, but boy, I sure think that they might be a little bit of a happy camper now.
Absolutely. So now the margin is 11, which means a touchdown, a 2-point, and a field goal would tie this game with just over 3 minutes remaining. And here comes the onside kick.
There's nothing more fun in the SFL than an onside kick. These things are wild.
My popcorn is ready.
Kicks away and up. That's pretty simple. Yeah, that was a little bit underwhelming, but Memphis gets it back at the Salt Lake 39. 3:10 remaining in the ball game. And now Memphis, if they really want to put it away, they kind of need to score.
Yeah, they do. At the very least, take care of the football. And if you're Cyrus Jive, maybe you're advocating to hand off for the remainder of this game. GP Wells has done a nice job so far. Give him a chance to ice this thing.
Run to the outside is going to be a loss of 1, 2nd and 11.
Salt Lake City has all 3 of their timeouts, Jack. And they probably will not start using them until after the 2-minute warning, which means they could have a fair amount of time here. There's not going to be 2 minutes, but a fair amount of time here to maybe get down the field quickly and then attempt another onside kick.
Yeah, but they're going to need the stop. Because if they can't get the stop, then all Memphis would need is another first down, realistically, and they would have won the football game.
Absolutely.
And off to the outside for GP Wells. And Wells is going to lose 2 more yards. 3rd and 13. And that should take us to the 2-minute warning.
Bogey Barr coming up with a big stop there. And now 3rd and 13. What do you do if you're Cyrus Jive, Jack? Do you throw the football? Do you go ahead and run it again and force Salt Lake to start burning timeouts? We will find out in just a few seconds.
That we will. 2 minutes remain in this ball game. Memphis up 24-13 on the Salt Lake City Rustlers. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the SFLm on YouTube.
Six defensive backs on the field for Salt Lake City. They are looking for Cyrus Jive to throw it here.
Jive over the middle. That's caught. That's the first down. And now Salt Lake's going to have to start burning timeouts.
Terrence Weary, I think that might be his first catch anywhere near the hash marks, Jack. And doing a nice job catching this thing in traffic. Jive getting great protection. And there is Weary right there against the diving Frankie Kuster. And I don't know what happened on the coverage there. But Weary doing a great job over the middle, coming up with what might be a game-sealing catch.
So for Memphis, it's just one first down away. And they're through with another win on the season. Starts off with a no gain, no loss situation. Minute 51 left on the clock.
Memphis will go to 3-3, barring unforeseeable chaos. And Salt Lake City will fall to 2-3. And they will have their work cut out for them as the season winds down.
And it's going to be another handoff. Loss of 1, 3rd and 11. We expect to see another throw from Cyrus Jive.
In Memphis, having played 6 games already, we'll only have 2 left. They're going to face Tacoma at home next week, and then they'll go to the house that Douglas Brown built in Boise to face the Mud Dogs in a season finale.
Throws deep over the middle. That's going to be another catch, and that should do it. Terrence Weary laying the final dagger in the hearts of the Rustlers.
Another huge catch for Weary right on the hash mark. He's made some big catches on a sideline, but this drive, 2 of them right on the hash or near the hash to come up huge. And here comes victory formation, Jack.
It's the best formation in all of football. And there should be just enough time for also Memphis to tack on an extra 3 points.
In Salt Lake City, meanwhile, you look at the rest of their schedule. It's not exactly a barrel of monkeys. They host Annapolis next week. But then Ottawa the week after that. And then Lexington, who's the 4 seed right now, they will face them in the finale. Salt Lake City will. In a game that is almost certain to have playoff implications.
That it will. Obviously, for Salt Lake, this is the time for them to get what should have been a comparatively easy win before heading off to Annapolis, or hosting Annapolis. And I mean, there's a certain man on Annapolis who I think we all know the name of, who's going to be very hard to stop.
Yes, and he was held to only 162 yards today, I believe. And that is his season low. Yes.
Only.
That's that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Randy Squarebush.
Yeah, that man's been in the league since season 2, and he's pretty much kept his foot to the pedal the entire time he's been down here. Wouldn't be shocked to see him get a major league call up in season 18. But for us here in the Volunteer State in Memphis, they're going to be celebrating well with an 11-point victory over the Salt Lake Rustlers. And for the River Runners, 3 touchdowns in the first half was all they needed, and they come away with the victory at a crucial time.
Absolutely. The win brings them to 3-3 on the season, and it sets them up for a nice postseason run with Tacoma next week, and then the finale with the currently winless Boise Mud Dogs for their regular season finale. And I thought, just on both sides of the ball, I thought Memphis played a terrific game. GP Wells obviously had that huge run in the first half, finished the game with 2 touchdowns. And Cyrus Jive, I just thought did a nice job of pacing that offense, played within himself, did not have to do anything too crazy. Had a nice, Caesar Ackerman had a nice catch and run in the first drive of this game. And on the defensive side, You know, a lot of their midseason signings played well. Jacob Morrison, I thought, did a nice job in the strong safety position. Matt Anderson, my goodness, what a game he had. He was all over the place today, not only with the run, but the pass as well. And I think Memphis, you know, if they continue to play at this pace, they could be a really scary 4 seed or even a 3 seed, Jack, depending on how things shake out. And I think there's a lot to be excited about on Salt Lake City as well. You know, today, it just wasn't their night. But Kenny Slider, Logan Lee, once they get some of these new players acclimated, talking about Callie Blow, Brian Murphy, and Randy Fatt, they're going to be performing at a high level.
That they are, Josh. Player of the game honors here tonight go to GP Wells. The halfback for the River Runners had an outstanding game. From all of us here at the SFLm, I'm Jack Brown alongside Josh Circle. Special thanks to Cameron Irvine for producing tonight's game for us. Have a wonderful evening, SFLm Nation, and be sure to go tune in to the Lexington Miners and the Boise Mud Dogs.